to Knittin Kitten podcast number 26. My name is Mallory, otherwise known as JustADoseOfLove all around the internet. So you can find me on Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, and Ravelry under JustADoseOfLove, though I am most active on Instagram. For any new viewers, this is a video podcast about knitting and crafts and just kind of whatever else happens to be going on at the time. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming to join me for the first video of the 2020 season. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it is 2020 already. Wow. Anyways, I am filming on Thursday, January 16th. It is approximately, what time is it? 7:35-ish p.m. In Edmonton, Alberta, where I live with my favorite feline Sika, who is wandering around my bedroom. So if you see me a little bit distracted, that's probably because she's doing something. She's a cat. She's probably doing something cat-like. Anyways, I live here with my feline Sika, Chris, Connor, and a snake named Heidi. And I can see that Sika is trying to get into my dresser drawer, so I'm just gonna kick her out right now. Oh, perfect. She wants to go out on her own. Yes, go, please. And it has been an incredibly cold week. When I woke up on Monday, the weather app on my phone said the wind chill was -40, that the temperature with the wind chill was -47 degrees Celsius. On Tuesday, I think it was -49 with the wind chill, and I think today, which is Thursday, I have no idea what yesterday was. Today was also very cold. My car said -26, and it was definitely colder than that. But I do think maybe we're starting to get a little bit used to it because my fingers weren't quite as frigid today, or they didn't feel quite as frigid today when I was driving to work. Anyways, it is a very good time to be a knitter. I feel very much like this is the right hobby to be in if the power, if in an apocalypse scenario, I will have some very valuable hobbies because as knitters, we can turn string into clothing. And that will be my useful skill. If you want a knitter on your zombie apocalypse team, here we go. I'm not very good at too many of those other things. Anyways, I am getting off track already, so I'm going to just hop right in to what is on my needles. Yes, apologies for drinking from my drink already. I know we're only like 3 minutes into this video, but I feel like I've already talked enough that I need a drink. Anyways, what's on my needles? I only have one thing on my needles right now, and I have finally ventured into the unknown crazy world of hats with fingering weight yarn. So I thought the Sockhead Slouch hat pattern by Kelly McClure would be a really good place to start. I know I've definitely seen the pattern online with other people who have knit it. I've heard about it more than once, so I thought that would be a good way to get my bearings on fingering weight yarn, because I do have a lot of fingering weight yarn that I think I would rather wear on my head than on my feet. And you know, some of them are just too busy to have in shawls that would, you know, have a nice lacy pattern or have other crazy colors in them. They would just clash too much, so they will be hats. And so far, where am I going? I'm plugging through. I'm finally using some of the yarn that Chris got me in Italy, and I'm gonna absolutely butcher the pronunciation of all of it, but I'm gonna try. So it is Mondial yarn, and the base is Emotion, which I said much more French than Italian. I think it looks like maybe it could be Imagine with an E at the front. I would show you the label, but it's not anywhere near me. Anyways, I don't think it has a colorway, or it probably does, but I just can't read it because the label's in Italian. So it's this lovely green, beautiful green. And this is a huge ball of yarn. This is 150 grams. You can see what nice bit of a gradient, like an ombre, is going on here. So it's getting lighter, you can tell. And there's definitely going to be more yarn here than I will need in this hat. So what I was thinking actually was this could be Chris's hat, and then I could make another hat for me with, you know, the inside colors. And he doesn't like slouchy hats, so I'm probably going to start doing my decrease pretty quick here. I know it's a very large brim, but that just means there's more to roll up to keep my ears warm. But I'm gonna start my decrease soon. I keep forgetting to bring my tablet with me when I'm knitting, which has my pattern on it. I know I could just bring it up on my phone, but I bought the tablet specifically so that I could have my knitting patterns there while I'm knitting. So I may as well use it for its purpose. But I keep forgetting my tablet when I'm knitting at work. So I just keep knitting the stockinette stitch. It's just going to be a longer and longer hat. I really need to look at that pattern again to see how much length the decrease is going to add. But anyways, here it is. Here's fingering weight hat. I'm so excited, and it's going to be so warm. Look at how tightly this stitch is knit up. Oh, there. Look at it, it's so pretty. Oh man, what a gorgeous green. I guess variations of green. What gorgeous variations of green. I absolutely love how this hat is turning out so far. So excited. And that is the only thing I have on my needles right now, because frankly, Field's a stockinette stitch forever on 2.5 mil needles, which is US 1.5, and they are 40 centimeter circulars, which are 16 inches, which I also actually had to order special for these hats because I didn't have anything quite that small, and apparently they don't make interchangeable circulars that small. The things you learn. Maybe they do, but I just couldn't find them. So I have some fixed circulars that I had to special order. Yay. Oh, I have an extra stash enhancement I completely forgot about. I'm going to have to pause the recording at that part so I can go grab it and show you. Yes. Anyways, what's off my needles? That's always exciting. I was surprisingly productive with my knitting over the holidays. I had decided to make my mom some socks because she really loves hand-knit socks, and I bought some yarn special for her. Since they were Christmas presents, I finished them. I started them after my last podcast, finished them before Christmas, and then gave them to my mom. So I cannot show them to you. They're not here. But I can show you the leftover yarn. So this is one of the Biscotti yarn colorways. It's on their Biz Sock base, and it's called Butterfly Wings. It is a 85-15 superwash merino nylon composition, and it's a self-striping yarn, so it's all the stripes are about that big, so they're not very long stripes, and it goes white and gray and then this nice teal and a bit of a purple. I really liked how it turned out. I planned it really well with the actually it was another first for me when I was knitting these up. I knit these socks up as Aftethought everything socks. So I'm a fan of the Aftethought heel, and with the Aftethought everything, what you do is you start the cuff, knit the cuff, and then you knit the entire sock tube for both socks. And you want it to be the length of the leg minus the heel, the length of the foot minus the toes, the length of the foot minus the toe again, length of the leg minus the heel, and cuff. So the whole thing ended up being 25 inches, I think, ish, because my mom likes a little bit of a longer leg to her socks, so add 5 inches there plus the cuff. And then what you do is you thread your double pointed needles through like you would with a Aftethought heel, but you do it on, yeah, you do it on both sides. So you would do it on the front and the back, which you don't do with Aftethought heels. And then you cut your yarn and pull the whole thing apart, and then you have two separate socks. All you need to do is knit the toes for each and then knit the heels. And I loved it. I loved it so much that when I made my sister some socks, which I'll show you next, I used the same technique because they're just vanilla socks. So it's just stockinette, 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 circle, 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 because I use little itty bitty circulars for my socks. And oh my God, it was perfect. It was so great. I got these socks finished so fast. I think each pair took less than a week, which is crazy for me because I typically will get second sock syndrome, or I don't want to finish this toe syndrome, or I don't really want to cut in my heel syndrome. and then I just take a very long time to make a second matching sock. Oh, I tried to put that yarn away and it just fell on the floor. So make sure I pick that up before the cat gets it. So I made my mom some Christmas socks. While I was up for Christmas, my mom lives in High Prairie. It's about 4 hours north of where I live here. So while we were up there, I got my sister to try on my mom's socks because they have the same size feet. I know this because I've measured both of their feet. Neither of them remember. They just think I'm a wizard for knowing exactly what size socks to make them, which is pretty funny in itself, actually. But I got my sister to try on my mom's socks, see how she likes it, because I know there's some people that don't really like the way that hand knit socks feel. She really liked it, so I told her I would make her a pair as well. So I did. I bought the yarn for this as well. I'm just going to show you the sock. I really like the color. I didn't buy these intending to make my sister a pair of socks, but she really likes blue, and the camera is really showing a lot more green than there is. Maybe if that's relatively true to color. It's a little more vibrant on the screen than it is in real life. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just blinded by the light that's going on here. So here it is. It's a variegated yarn, really like almost neon greens and blues and darker blues, and I really love it. And my sister really likes blue. So it was almost perfect. I had the yarn with me already caked up in High Prairie when I was there for Christmas, because I knew I was going to finish my mom's socks before Christmas Day, and I needed to start a new project. So I had the yarn with me already. This is, another one, I'm gonna butcher the name. Manos del Uruguay. You've definitely seen their yarn, almost certainly. You know which one I'm talking about. If you know how to pronounce it, let me know. It's their Allegra sock base, and it's a 75-25% superwash merino polyamide mix for the composition. And same thing, these are actually exactly the same as the socks that I made for my mom. Foot length and leg length and cuff length, actually. And that's how it turned out. I may as well show you both of them. Here they are, matching pair. And I've been holding off on sending them to my sister via mail because I wanted to make sure I got this podcast out first. So I didn't have a podcast going, well, I made 2 pairs of socks, but I can't show you any of them. Oops. So here they are. And I will probably send those in the mail. Maybe tomorrow, maybe this weekend, definitely soon. So that is kind of a mix of finished needles, finished objects. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I can't talk at all today. A mix of finished objects and stash enhancement. And now I'm going to take a drink because that was a lot of talking again. Speaking of which, what am I drinking tonight? It is just coffee, hazelnut coffee in the Keurig in my beautiful Knitty Stitch mug, which I love so much. It's so thick. The clay is so thick before they fired it. It just keeps my coffee warm, basically forever. And it's so nice, especially with how the weather has been lately, just to have something warm to hold. When it gets this cold, one thing that I always need to make sure I'm remembering to do is not leaving anything against the walls, like clothes. So in my corner of my room here, sometimes there's a pile of clothes that need to be washed or folded, possibly. And if said clothes are against the wall, then they end up actually freezing to the wall, which happened this week. Oops. So there's a bunch of frost buildup in that spot where all the clothes were because there's no airflow keeping that spot warm enough to keep the frost away. I know better. I know better than this. Yep, I know better. And now I am paying more attention because one of my shawls got stuck to the wall along with my clothes because my shawl hanger is there, and that was really upsetting, but everything is fine and there is no knit murder going on. It's positive. Anyways, I'm going to pause right here. I'm going to go grab the other yarn that I bought and I will show you in a second. Okay, here we are back again. Sorry about that. So while I was ordering my needles that I needed for the fingering weight hats, I also decided to buy the yarn that I need for a cowl pattern that I was planning to make. And of course I just closed that window of my computer. It's the longbow pattern by Miss Vinegar. So it calls for 3 balls of worsted weight yarn. And I should probably make sure I have the needles for that as well, because that'll be rather disappointing. And Knit Picks was having their holiday sale, or their Christmas sale, so I think it's a great time to buy yarn. And I did! What is this? This is Knit Picks Muse Tonal. So it's their hand-painted yarns. It's 100% superwash merino, 100 grams. It's a heavy worsted weight. And here are the 3 that I need. So it's got greens and kind of like a light green with yellow overtones. I think it'll be really nice, and it will be very warm, which is perfect because I am anticipating this cowl being worn for festivals, which can be really warm during the day, but it gets really chilly at night, especially when there's dew because it's in a field and everything just kind of gets wet and cold. I stick my tongue out, but it, the colder nights really are some of the best parts of camping. You just get to like bundle up and be all cozy in front of a fire, like roast marshmallows, and it's great. So that was the other stash enhancement that has occurred over this holidays. I also wanted to show you one other thing. My mother and I had a pottery ceramic bowl type making night at a clay studio here in Edmonton back at the end of November, and we got to use a pottery wheel, and we were making, she didn't really specify if it was supposed to be a bowl or a cup, but if it was a cup it wouldn't have a handle, so it's a weird kind of mug type thing. But anyways, it was the first time for both of us using a pottery wheel, and it was so much fun. But when you're shaping the sides of your bowl, we're just going to call it a bowl. When you're shaping the sides of your bowl, the pottery wheel should be going, say counterclockwise, then you should be on the right side so that the clay is going not against your fingers. It's not forcing against your fingers. And that was a problem that I had that I didn't realize was a problem because my bowl kept cracking and falling apart. And finally it just like absolutely fell apart. And I was like, no, what is it? So she told me I had 10 minutes if I wanted to try and make a new one. And then she told me what my problem was, that I have to pull from the opposite side, going with the rotation of the bowl, not against the rotation of the bowl. And in 10 minutes, I whipped up this little guy. See my problem? It's like a bowl, but it's a very small bowl. But if it's a cup, it is a very large cup. Bowl, cup, very small soup bowl, very large cup. I think it's just, you know, whatever I want it to be, depending on how I'm feeling. Probably a very large coffee cup. We'll see. So yes, that was my first time using a pottery wheel, and it was a lot of fun. Honestly, I'm thinking about taking a course. I know the city does some pottery courses. They are all super booked all the time, but there's 8-week courses, and it's only $250, and that includes materials. So I would totally be down for that. I think possibly ceramics will be my retirement hobby. We'll see. I will keep you tuned in 40 years. And that about wraps it up for everything to show you. And yeah, upcoming events or items of note. I do have one thing on there. So throughout this month, one of my goals is to standardize all my stitch descriptions in my patterns, and also like toe instructions and heel instructions. Yeah, so since those are basically the same with every sock pattern, because the toe's always going to look the same and the heel's always going to look the same for how I knit my socks, and you know, it's pretty, generally there's a standard toe and there's a standard heel. There's however you like to do yours, and in my patterns I always write an afterthought heel and just, you know, a toe. I know there's different kinds of toes, but typically everyone has their preferred toe. Anyways, I'm rambling. I would also like to make sure this month that all of those descriptions are standardized. And once that is done, my goal for this year is to update all of my patterns that do not currently have the standardized stitch descriptions and toe/heel descriptions. So that portion should be pretty easy. The standardized stitch descriptions will be only slightly more difficult. Where I foresee the most frustration on my end will be making sure it all stays on one page and my spacing doesn't go crazy, because I'm picky about that kind of thing. So that is my goal for this year. I hope to start rolling that out maybe the end of this month. So over the course of the next year, I hope to get through all of them. By the end of this month, I also plan to release one of my hat patterns for testing. I am not sure which hat pattern yet. It likely will not be the Charlene hat. So for the 5 hats that I made for Christmas for the ladies that I work with, those are going to be the next 5 patterns that I am setting up for testing. And I think probably the first one will likely be the Ashley hat, if I had to guess. The Charlene hat, I just need to make sure my decrease on the top of the hat works. I'm gonna have to reknit it. Also, I would like to rephotograph it in a yarn that photographs just a little bit better with the pattern. So I have a really nice beige yarn that I thought I might use for Ashley's hat, and I think that will photograph the best with that pattern, because there's a lot going on in that pattern. There are like eyelets and mock cables, and there's just a lot going on, which is great. But if you have a super variegated yarn, which I did, it doesn't photograph very well. Also, I really want to make sure that decrease is correct. Yes, I would not like to have anyone getting super frustrated. And I know when I was doing it, I was having problems with where the stitch marker was supposed to be, because there's a couple of yarn overs right around the beginning of the row, and it was just a little messy. So I'm gonna fix that. Then that pattern will get released for testing, but not this month. Not when I'm already spending time with my standardized instructions. And I think that is officially it. So I'm going to just wrap it up before I start rambling about something else, and that'll be that. So I thank you guys so much for coming to spend some time with me. I am really excited that this is the first video podcast of 2020. Again, number 26, which is also pretty exciting for me. It means I will definitely hit 50 this year. Woo! Yay! That's exciting. Anyways, thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. I am sorry it's been very rambly lately. I will try and dial that back a little bit. Maybe if I am not recording later in the day, maybe if it's earlier on like a weekend, it'll be better. I'm not sure. We'll figure this out. If you enjoyed the podcast, please feel free to subscribe. There's a button on the bottom here. I guess it's probably on here. My screen is reversed for what you see. Anyways, please hit the subscribe button and the little bell button if you would like to be notified of future uploads. Also, if you liked this video, please hit the little thumbs up button because apparently it's good for visibility. I don't know. I don't really speak YouTube. Not really. I should probably learn how to speak it a little better. But I had a good 30 minutes. I hope you did too. If you are anywhere in North America right now that's freezing cold, please stay warm and safe because it is hazardous out there with the temperatures. If you are not somewhere cold, I hope you enjoy your balmy weather, and I will see you guys again in a couple weeks. Bye.